hi everybody. So we are back for our Lax Life Live series. This is our third session. So excited for this evening. Kate is actually working on another one of our special guests, and we have Kylie O'Miller with us. Yep, that's Kylie right down there. And we're so excited to spend the next hour or so with you. We're gonna keep that a loose hour because Kylie, just full disclosure, we love to chat it up with ourselves and with our special guests, and we have a lot of great things to cover. So we're super excited for this evening. We've got a bunch of things to go through. Guys, just like last time, we do have some PowerPoint slides to show everybody, and the first two are actually recapping our first two sessions. So we had a lot that we covered in the first two sessions. We just are putting it together on a slide kind of format for you. So if you want to take a little pic, totally fine. We are going to be putting all of these sessions on YouTube. Kate's going to edit them for us, and we'll put them on YouTube so you'll be able to reference them back at a later time. And then we're going to get right into our session 3 with Coach Dar and Kylie. All right, Kate, how are we doing? Are we ready to get going?
We're doing good. I just sent a quick text to Coach Dar, so I want to make sure she's actually in Arizona.
Okay.
So I want to make sure she had it for the right time zone. I know she was squishing us in between many, many calls. As you can imagine, she is crazy busy. So I'm just waiting to hear from her. And then if she pops in, we'll grab her. And if not, we'll just keep moving through. So, all right. So you got a little bit of housekeeping, right? You talked about.
And Kate, we have to remind everybody about the no live chat, all that good stuff, you know.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So following along with our NCAA rules, we're not doing any live chatting or interaction between coach and athlete, that sort of thing. If you want to enter a Q&A question, then that'll pop in and we can answer it to the entire group without actually specifically interacting with everybody. And otherwise, we are looking at, let's see, we got some people still coming in. Oh my goodness, I know you.
Yay!
Yay!
Hi, Coach Dar.
Get it to load. Hi.
Thank
oh my
you
gosh,
so
I'm
much
so
for joining
excited.
us.
So excited.
Happy. Hello.
So we're gonna go around the circle here. I don't know if you're in the same order as me, but so Coach Dar, and then we have Kylie over here.
Hi,
Kylie is our lacrosse phenom.
Yep.
And then we've got Janine Tucker, coach of
Coach
Hopkins, lacrosse
Hi,
extraordinaire. And you already know me.
You're an extraordinaire too.
Love it.
Awesome. Well, we've got people still kind of piling in, so we're just letting them know. One, that we're going to have recorded sessions for this available. As people are asking like crazy, where are the replays? So we're putting them all out at one time. Look for those next week. Follow us on social media. And then, did you tell them the other surprise?
Nope, I didn't.
Okay, here's the other surprise. So we have so many people that want to be on this show, and we have so many people who love this. We have decided to make this a continuing series. So we're going to keep moving forward, and we're going to have lots of really cool people coming on. So follow our social media. We're going to take a few days and figure out the best way that we can get this out to everybody. And I'm excited. I mean, we already have a list of people that we want to put on here. So we're ready to go.
We are ready to go. It's really been great, you guys. Just a quick recap of how this all got started. You know, we're all going through a lot with this pandemic and the stay-at-home orders and the new normal and what that kind of feels like. So Kate and I had been talking a lot about that, and we realized that there's a lot of recruits and, you know, high school club, youth, middle school players, just club coaches, high school coaches, people in general in our sport that had been struggling a little bit, and a lot of questions about the recruiting process. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen, you know, to school, to lacrosse, to life. And that's how this whole thing came about. So we've had a couple college coaches on to offer some of their advice. We're all about putting out positive energy. So that's another thing that we want to make sure everyone feels is, even though we're all going through really difficult times, we can manage this. We can do this together, and we've got to keep, a lot of it is about our attitude, right? And the decisions we make. So Coach Dar and Kylie, we can't wait to hear how you guys are handling this situation. But that's really how this whole thing got started. And now it's just been building a lot of momentum, and we're going to run with it. So that's a little background.
Oh, so excited. And you guys, just so you know, even though you can't chat with coaches, you can chat with each other. So there is a chat box. If you all want to talk to each other, feel free. We get to spy on your chat so I can see what you're saying. But Um, just me, I get to spy on you. So you can talk about everyone else. So I am excited. I'm actually going to share my screen and dig in because I know that Coach Dar, you've got a crazy schedule. And so we're going to like get to you and learn all sorts of things. So before I pull up our PowerPoints, I'm just going to pull it up for a second, then we're going to come back to this screen. I want to introduce you officially, and I'm going to let you share a little bit about what you do because I just kind of categorize it as extremely cool. It's like in that box for me. So Coach Dar is also a John Gordon team member and speaker, and we have done some events together, which was really, really fun.
So fun.
And she gets to work with some amazing athletes on their mental game and just advising them and some really, really cool stuff, stuff that I kind of like to nerd out and learn about as well. So I think that's going to be great for tonight. And we're going to talk about some of the things that she's, how is she helping her clients through this time? But the other thing that we're going to kind of give you some information on is, first of all, extra cool part, she is an ambassador for the Lululemon, okay? If you are like me, you're probably always wearing Lululemon, okay? So she's an ambassador for them and an ambassador for, is Pay It Forward, right? Is that how they?
Global Pay It Forward Day.
Global Pay It Forward. And I know they just had an event, I think it was April 28th, and I thought, this is amazing. Let's make a lacrosse version of this and put it out. So she's going to tell us a little bit more about that, and we're going to get a challenge going for all of you guys. So I'm going to pull up our PowerPoint here. Share screen. Okay, so this is, if you missed episode 1 and you want to snap a picture, this is a review of episode 1 that we had. So I'm not going through this, but just giving you a second to take out your smartphone and grab a pic. And like I said, we are going to be posting these again. So let me go in. This is a recap from last week. And you can rewatch the videos once we get those up next week. And hey, we know her. I have been stealing pictures off the internet for I love this. And so before we dig into this Pay It Forward thing, tell me, Coach Dar, about how are you helping your athletes? Tell us about what kind of athletes you work with and what kind of work you're doing right now to help them through this transition right now.
Sure. I just want to make sure. So you could see that, right? Or you can.
We can see you in a small box on there. And you know what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to unstop sharing so that we can get on your screen.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. Then I'm just like talking to a like static screen. So first of all, I'm so psyched to be on here. Really, thank you for having me on. I'm glad it actually worked out. Cause I was like, when she asked, I'm like, I have 30 minutes and that fell like right in the perfect time. So we've all been on like Zoom, like day and night and helping out. And so, as far as who I am, at the end of the day, I am a therapist and I have been a therapist for 23 years and I help people. I started out in traumatic brain injury. So I'd help people with severe brain injuries, whatever that may be, from concussion to traumatic brain injury, like a car accident, stroke. And so we would get the toughest of tough patients. And I always share that in the beginning because my role was, after they were probably out of somewhat of a risk and they knew they were going to be able to go forward, it was still the biggest challenge, because now the new normal of how do you get a new normal? How do you start back? Like, how do you overcome all the obstacles that you may not walk the same? You may not come back the same. Your brain may not be able to remember things like you used to. All those changes. And so when they were stable, they'd come to me and the doctor would say, okay, this is Dar and she's going to help get you back. And it's a big challenge because, one, the person wants to give up every day. The family needs you to get them back. And so you are their coach, their motivator, their therapist, their cognitive behavioral therapist. You're everything in one to get them going with a great team. I had no idea that was setting me up for the things in life that God would bring me to later on. I just was doing what I knew I was called to do and grateful to serve and help people. And the irony is when I was 20, now I played sports. Field hockey was my game. So I love field. I ran track too, but track was really to keep me prepared for field hockey. And I definitely did not play basketball, which is going to be ironic because I coach in the NBA. But in saying that is I came from a sports background. My father was sports, everyone around us. I've been watching films since I was a little kid. We'd rewatch games all the time. So the power of sports was in my blood, just like it's in all of your blood. And it's one of the greatest things that you have. Fast forward now, I'm working in the hospital and I'm 25. And at 25, I was married at the time, was going to start a family. And I went to a chiropractor, hurt my back. And when they manipulated my neck, they ripped the artery to my brain. And when they did that, I suffered a stroke and I was left with a blood clot in my brain. And that kind of changed the trajectory of things, because when you're left with a blood clot in your brain like that, you're at high risk of one, having a massive stroke after that, it dislodging, and you could die any day. And that definitely took out the chances of having children. So as a young woman, those were all these things that you're like hit with, and you're going like, what the heck? I'm helping people live their life, not being afraid of me losing my life. This is where the key of mental resiliency started to come in, because this was mind over matter at this point. I had doctors telling me, you're not going to be able to do this, 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 this. And I said, I'm going to be respectful for the limitations that are truly scientific I have to hold from. But other than that, I'm not going to hold back from fear. I figured if I could die anyways, I'm going all in. So you just lose. I don't have fear on a lot of things, really. So you push through it. But that's where that whole thing of where I really got to work myself on all the things that I teach now on mind over matter. And from the cognitive treatments that I was doing with patients to both then the psychological, and that what you give power to becomes your power, which either pushes you forward or pulls you back. So I'm a nerd because I study neuro. That was my background. Man. But here's my brain mold. If the sun is facing right on here, but I keep these. This is like what I teach everyone. This thing and what you fill it with propels you forward or pulls you back. Yep. Especially right now. So I went back to school in business because I wanted to fix things in healthcare. I ended up running large companies and different things. And then I decided in 2008, I was going to start my own private practice in the middle of a recession. And it was because people were literally giving up, like saying, I can't do this. How are we going to go forward? Athletes, artists, because I was in Nashville. I had worked with music artists, helping them mentally go forward. People. And I said, wait a minute. I help people overcome the most extreme odds with their mental faculties literally challenged. I think yours are all there. We're good. We're going to get through this. It's going to be how we're going to set a plan, how we're going to put our mindsets together, creating support, and then we're going to work on that plan every day. See, the thing with mental conditioning is that in building up mental capital is that you don't just work on this when you need it. It's not like an insurance plan. This is just like our physical health. And here's the thing, everyone knows this. No different than they know that we've got to stay physically active to help our heart, but they don't do it. Or, you got to stay mentally active to keep your mind active and in the right space, because when you do that, it doesn't mean hardship isn't going to come. It means you're going to rebound faster. You're going to be able to get back into the game faster. It means right now you're going to be able to get through this a lot easier. I've ended up having 3 strokes. My last stroke will be 2 years now. That was the worst one. And I could tell you the doctors and people have said, we don't know how you were able to get through that so well. And I said, it's because of the work I do, 100%, and my faith. I really have a strong faith, I believe. So for everyone that's, going through this right now, we know it's hard, but this is where I get excited. This is where we get to pivot. We play the game, whatever sport you're playing. I do mental conditioning coach in all 4 leagues, the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, and the NHL. And in the sense of that, this is where we know what the word pivot and audible and all of those things and everything that we know means, but we've got to put that into mental action now. This is where we've got to say, okay, how to be innovative. I just had to talk to NFL guys getting ready for the draft and then their combine, and how they had to do a lot of stuff virtual. They couldn't be in person. Total mental shift. Now I'm getting guys ready to go play again with no fans, and how that's going to mentally actually affect them. So, and that's going to happen for all of us, any of us in sports. So you have to think about what is it that we're shifting to and the power of what you're going to pull on. You're going to need to actually visualize. We normally say visualize like winning the championship and having that in your hand, which you want to, but you even have to visualize what practice is going to be like. You have to visualize if you're going to have games, what they may look like. They're going to feel different. It's not going to be as many people at the games if you're allowed back into it. How you're training daily, how you consistently get yourself built up and motivated. Everything is about pivoting and reframing. It's all reframing how you see something, which is perception. You could look at it as this is awful and it's never going to end, which that's not the case. If you look back in history, there's never been anything in history, if we read, that we haven't got on the other side. We've gotten on the other side.
Yeah.
The ones who are able to be moldable and adaptable and agile get through on the other side. I mean, in sports, we have to stay agile, right? In our play. And that goes for our mindset. The moment you start, now this doesn't mean you can't feel the emotions of sadness sometimes and even being angry. You feel it, but you get 24 hours, okay?
Yeah.
You get to feel it. You get to talk to someone, phone a friend, journal it, talk it out, cry your eyes out, move through it. You get 24 hours to sit in that space, and the next day you're up and moving. You're doing something, because we know what that happens when and Netflix and movies are great, but not for hours and hours, because it hurts our brain. It really does. I just randomly was watching Ozark, that whole series, and I was like, okay, it's addictive, and I'm now out. I'm like mentally disturbed from the show.
Did you watch the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Right here.
So
me
what
too.
we put our mind with, I was like, okay, Dar, you are the mental coach here, and this is not healthy anymore. You're off. You're out.
Right.
All to say is that, I want you to know that this is not easy, and I recognize it, but when has the greats of anything in life, business and sports, ever told you that it was easy? I mean, if you're watching the Jordan series right now, you'll see that he even accomplished all of that. And you know what he said in that hotel room? People say they want to be me for a day. They wouldn't even be able to at all. He's like, they wouldn't be able to handle me for a day. So it comes with responsibility when we take on these roles, but we get to actually be really great role models in this and show people that we can make it. And the reason we know anyone that's ever been great is because they endured it, right? You don't know the reason you don't know certain names is because they never kept going. We only know the names that kept enduring it. So let your legacy right now, whatever this duration is, be something that people are going to remember you on how you showed up in the middle of adversity right now.
Oh, that's awesome. And it's the message that everybody needs, but it's, ironically, it's not just a message that we need right now. This is a message we need all the time. I mean,
all the time.
Before we had a pandemic, we had ACL tears, and we had, somebody getting sick or passing away in your family, or, whatever, moves across the country. If you're a kid and your family moves across country, you start over with a new team, a new coach,
right.
There are so many things, and this is just getting us ready for the next one. And I'm laughing when you were talking about the Netflix thing, because back when Downton Abbey came out, I didn't know about it until all of them were out. So I binged watched them like for, I don't know, several days. And I didn't realize that it was affecting me until I started talking with this bizarre English accent. And people were like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, oh, I didn't know I was doing it.
It's for real.
It wasn't a good accent. So they weren't really sure what was happening.
But this is a neurological little like coaching tip here, just like that. Like it just like snuck up on her. I watched Ozark and I started to I'm doing work in the middle of the day and I'm having flashbacks of not healthy scenes, like they shoot and kill each other and all this stuff. And I was like, that is really though a thing of what you put around you, listen to. And this goes for people. If you're around negativity all the time, you're going to absorb it. If you're listening to things that aren't good, you're absorbing it. It's doing something to your subconscious. So be very aware. When I tell you I want you to be a guard of your thoughts in your mind, I want you to be the guard, like literally. Like if you're eating healthy, I want you to mentally eat healthy too, meaning what are you putting in? So be a real good watch guard for it.
Yeah, that's so important. I think we just what's on the news and what's on social media right now, it's really easy to get sucked in to all of that. And I don't know, Coach and Kylie, are you guys avoiding the news?
Yeah, I'm just mesmerized by Coach Dar right now. So really enjoying her energy. Kylie and our heads are going to fall off because we're just laughing at everything she's saying. And Coach Dar, for me, when this first happened, and I'm interested to hear from Kylie as well, I did not take it very well. You know, I was not a happy coach that
Yeah.
couldn't be around my team. Our season had
Yeah.
ended. It took me a while, and I finally got to this place where I had to ask myself, similar to what you were saying, look, when I look back on this, am I going to be proud of how I handled it or not? And that was the shift
Absolutely.
for me. That's where I had to make a choice and shift from being really bummed and disappointed and feeling badly for myself, my team, my
Right.
girls, and say, okay, no, we're not going to live in this space. Am I going to
Right.
look back on this and be happy with how I handled it? And so just listening to you brought me right back to that
Right.
thought that I
Yeah.
had.
Yeah. I'm glad you had that shift though, because
Oh,
I
heck
mean,
yeah.
it's, yeah.
Yeah.
Kylie, how did you do with all this? How are you getting through all of it?
Similarly, you know, I think anyone can say that this has been a negative thing on everybody's thoughts. And, you know, like you mentioned, it's good to take those 24 hours and be able to be in your emotions about it.
Yeah.
And I think for me, what kind of my shift was the fact that I have all these young girls that look up to me. And they were asking me so many questions, you know, from coaches, from parents, from the players themselves, like, how are you dealing with this? You know, like, how are you getting through the day to day? What are you doing to keep busy? Like, when is lacrosse coming back to us? All these kind of interesting things. And what really kind of snapped me out of what, you know, I was feeling bad for myself and the people around me, and, you know, our WPLL season getting canceled, those kinds of things, was when, you know, coaches and parents started to reach out to me and say, like, hey, our 13-year-olds, like, they're not coming out of their room. You know,
Yeah.
15,
Yeah.
they won't even come downstairs for dinner. Like, they don't even talk to their parents because they don't have,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
thing that they can express.
Right.
And, you know, that's when I kind of snapped out of it. And I was like, okay, I got to get out of my own head. Like, nobody's
Yeah.
for you if you're,
Yeah.
you know, kind of stuck in that kind
Yeah.
of frame of mind. So you got to be there for those girls who
Yeah.
you want to look up to. But I think, you know, ultimately everybody's struggling. So if they have something that they can relate to, in a sense of when they're looking to me, and, you know, I can say, like, listen, I do watch Netflix just as much as you guys do, but at the same time, we got to get our workouts in. We got to
Yes.
get ourselves on track. Like, lacrosse is back to us. The things that we know are going to be back to us. And just kind of keeping that positive light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, that's so huge. And we've talked about this on the other episodes, is that when we focus on helping out and lifting up others, it helps get us out of our own heads. And Coach Dar, I know you have to run soon, so I wanted to see if you want to tell us about that, the Pay It Forward, the global Pay It Forward, and if you have some suggestions on how we can launch this with our lacrosse players.
I'm going to go into that, but something that I'm going to be sharing about on social, and you could share my social channels with everyone so they could follow, because I put up tons of inspiration. But Instagram is the Coach Dar, just THE Coach Dar, and then you can look at other stuff. But one of the things I'm going to be posting soon is perfection causes anxiety, progress creates flow. So I want you to think right now where you're thinking like, it's either all or nothing. Like, it's either the season or nothing. Like, we're either going or we're not. We're in this space where everything's going to be trickling in right now, how things are going to flow out. And I want you to not go to this. We usually are like all in on everything, right? And our commitment, which is that's your mindset. But I want you to think about progress right now. How do you make 1% progress right now with your health, with your mental game, how things are going, how we're going to connect? Think about progress as flow rather than perfection and stop. Okay, because that perfection of like, it's either going to be working or it's not, like, it puts too much anxiety on everyone. And that's what I'm finding as I'm treating and I'm helping a lot of people. This anxiety is building up because it's usually like in or out and black or white, or it's got to be or it's not. And I'm just trying to get people to say, like, think about this as like yoga flow, like create progress in your regimen, create progress. So if one day you're having a bad day, you're not like completely hopeless about it. It's like you didn't work out. Maybe your workout wasn't great. Someone was just telling me how their run that they did was terrible and they were just like down, super down. And then they snapped out of it and they got back and they're like, just do some part of the run, something. So create progress and versus perfection and anything in life. Like, that's going to help you. Now with Pay It Forward, which I love that you shared that, because how we get out of actually depression and anxiety is through serving. Like, that is scientifically proven. The moment you serve, that when you feel down, go help someone, call someone. Even when you're crying and you're down, wipe it off and call someone and be like, hey, is there anything I could help you with? And inside you're like, I'm not even there yet. But the moment they start talking, it takes the focus off of your sadness. So with that, I'm the United States ambassador for Global Pay It Forward Day. It is literally a movement. It's not like there is any organization in one home or anything. This is a global movement that started 12 years ago based off the book, Pay It Forward, and then the movie, which you could go and look it up. But what happened is a teacher asked a kid and said to the kid in 6th grade and said, if you could help make the world better, you could do anything, what would you do? And he was thinking back, he was going to get something silly. Well, this one kid came back and said, what if I could help 3 people who then help 3 people who then help 3 people? And we do something that they normally couldn't do and we help them. Well, he did. He helped his mom, his teacher, and a homeless person get back on his feet. And then that rippled on to the point in the movie where this guy ends up giving his car to someone in need because he had saved his life. Like, it just ripples. So fast forward to now, I've been able to oversee our country with this, and I unite our country with 86 others. And on Global Pay It Forward Day, which was April 28th, we were able to do 20 million acts of kindness around the world. And now I want you to understand this. There's no money exchanged. There's no political ties. It has nothing. It's completely biased. Yet we were able to move people around the world to act and actually do kindness on one day. So when you think that you don't have the power to make the world better, think again. I am just like all of you. So is the guy Blake in Australia. So is the person in South Africa. And we all unite and say, we're going to drop a kindness bomb on this world. It's going to ripple all year, which is why you even know about Pay It Forward. Any type of Pay It Forward act that's ever come out is because of this movement. And what happens is the stories of people telling us how when they serve someone, what it does to them, it's unbelievable. And what we do is we try to say, this is not just a day. This is actually something we ripple all year, which is why I was so great, Kate, when you were like, let's do this. One of the challenges that we have a coach, an ambassador that has joined on. We create kindness ambassadors around the country. And she started challenging other colleges and said, hey, I want you to do 3 acts of kindness, share social proof of it. Otherwise, you got to give us 50 burpees on video. Well, it started to spread, and she came on late in the game, but next year it's going to spread through colleges everywhere. It's going to be pretty epic. So in saying that, what it does is it's just trying to get momentum of people serving, because when you serve, you feel better. And we want this ripple effect to go all year. It's not just a day, it's a lifestyle. We want you to have that lifestyle. And people will say to me, Dar, I do good, like I pay it forward. And I said, you know what? I'm sure you do. But on a daily basis, are you being other-centered? Is there an ability that you see someone that's in need or hear someone's in need and you actually do it? Or do you just think about it and say, oh, I should have done that? So this is your challenge that you're going to be able to get to actually go and do something. And I'll let Kate run with what the challenge will be. But it could be as simple as like you create a challenge and then challenge others to do something kind, whatever that may be. I mean, we had people from, someone made homemade dinners and then they brought them to people's doorsteps and they sang them a song. Or they left elderly, like people that were elderly, they put signs outside their window because they can't get out and they can't even walk outside. So they put big signs so when they look out their window, it was something pretty. There's so many things that you could do. We had someone pay off someone's mortgage this year.
Wow.
So,
a car
like
was donated. I mean, we hear all types of stories, but it's whatever you could do for service and reaching out. And I mean, you could see the All-In Challenge is Pay It Forward. The Verizon Pay It Forward live concerts, Pay It Forward. We have all these people paying it forward right now. So what could you do? Because what Global Pay It Forward, this movement that we're talking about, is the people's movement. It's not just for celebrities. It's actually not for celebrities. They could be a part of it, but it's human beings. They are human. It's the people's movement that globally around the world, we could actually do something that makes a difference. So that's what it's about.
Tell me about the pictures that I see, these amazing pictures.
Hearts on the hand.
On the hand.
Yes.
So how does that work? Is that something you post after you've done your good deeds, or?
So that is actually something you could do now, just saying like, I'm in #PayItForwardDay. And it just say, I stand for kindness. What that does is we wanted something visually social where especially that what we're seeing now is we're trying to flood social with good images. And when you see someone smiling with a heart, you just automatically feel good. And then they read about it and they're like, oh, this is totally means someone stands for kindness. And so you just put hashtag pay it forward day, hashtag stand for kindness, and just show people that you're united around the world standing for kindness with us.
That's awesome. Well, I just wanted to flash this up on the screen so people can see it. And if you do look, you can look for these pictures. So the hashtag stand for kindness, will that help them find more of these pictures?
Pay It Forward Day actually is the one that unites everyone around the world. So if you use that, but it's cool if you add the other hashtag if you want to, just so people are like, what's that mean? It's like you stand for kindness.
Okay. So that way, I just want people to be able to look it up and get some examples, because these pictures are really cool.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I've seen some really amazing ones. I know we had people on our team that did it as well. So that was what got my attention. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is that? That's really neat.
Julie did it. Yep.
Awesome. So we're going to come up with a challenge that we're going to pass on and a hashtag.
Keep me posted. And also if you go to Pay It Forward Day Instagram, you'll see some images on there. So, but if you look at anything that's on mine will be shared to there. So it doesn't matter. But I would be so grateful. I'm sorry, the sun. I'm trying to move out of the sun.
Oh gosh.
It's 105 in Arizona right now.
Wow.
So
wow.
We're sweltering, but we don't care. It's killing the virus.
That's good.
It could be hot. I wish I had more time, but if there's anything you need or you ever want me to come back on and we could talk more mental game and mental edge, I'd be happy to.
Awesome. Well, I think, what is your Instagram handle? Is it at Coach Dar or?
It's the Coach Dar, THE, and then Coach Dar, DAR.
Okay. So if we're doing this Pay It Forward, I think we need a hashtag Pay It Forward. We need a hashtag Lax and Life.
Mm-hmm.
Lax and Life, you think? Lax and Life. And then if you want to tag the Coach Dar, I think she would love to see these.
Yep.
So I'm excited to go out and do some of these this week too.
And go on and follow on social. Definitely follow there, because then if you are there and I see it, then I could comment back and I could share it to the global Pay It Forward Day site. So even if you don't, either way, but just follow along.
Yeah, and you want to follow her anyway because she has amazing content. I know you have a website. In fact, what I'll do is I'm going to post all of her contact information on the page on my website where you registered for this. So at katelavelle.com/Lax Life series. I don't even know what it is on my website, Lax Life series. And then if you go there, I will put all of her contact information on there as well, so you guys can look her up. And I am so incredibly grateful for you making time to come, and I just like to see your smiling face.
I'm grateful to see you. Thank you so much for having me on, and stay in touch. And if there's anything I can do to help, I will.
Awesome. We'll all be to your house in Arizona where it's sunny in about a couple hours.
Absolutely. Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
Wow, I thought I had some energy. Right, Kylie? Woo! That was some good energy there. I love it. I love it.
I know. I didn't want to be rude, but I'm gonna go follow her on Instagram.
I know. I was trying to write notes and not lose eye contact. Right. Exactly. So fun. All right. Well, that was awesome. And now we're gonna do a little pivot, right, Kate? Because we are going to be basically sucking the life out of Kylie. So for those of you guys who don't necessarily know our other super special guest, Kylie Ohlmiller was an absolutely amazing player at Stony Brook. She is on the Team USA training team. Is that correct?
Yes.
Soon to be a fabulous member of that. I'm calling it right now. And also plays for the WPLL and is just one of the most fun, dynamic, creative, amazing players to watch. And that is one thing, Kate, we talked about in the last couple sessions for the girls out there who are wondering, geez, what can I do? I'm running out of ideas. You need to follow Kylie, and we'll make sure you have all of her information because she does incredible training seminars. She's got a really fun Instagram. She's, Kylie, I hope I don't embarrass you, but you're just a really fun, lighthearted, uplifting type of person. So I'm encouraging everybody to follow her. You'll get some great lacrosse tips. Just try to do what she does and you'll be awesome. How about that?
And look for, you have camps too. I saw you have a bunch of camps. Now I know that's a little sketchy for this summer, but definitely look for camps. And I'll tell you, having a fun creative coach is all the difference, because I've been to some bad camps. So you want to find people that you really connect with. So look for her camps as well. There's your plug.
I appreciate that. Both of you, very, very kind words. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, gotta keep the fun in it. That's the most important part. Creativity, fun, be yourself. It's one of my biggest core values. Is be authentic to who you are.
Well,
It's
you
great.
definitely, yeah, I'm sorry, Kate. I was just gonna say you definitely did that. We have a little slide. Our next slide coming up is kind of, Kylie, talk to us a little bit about this whole virtual experience. We've talked to a lot of the people who have listened in about how so much is online now. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about managing kind of virtual learning and lacrosse, you know, so a lot of our people watching, the high schoolers, middle schoolers, youth, coaches out there, like, we're doing everything over Zoom. It feels like, from classes to trying to grow ourselves, professional development, and certainly lacrosse. You've done a phenomenal job. I mean, literally, it looks like your computer is out in your backyard as you are demonstrating some of the skill sets for your fans. How are you managing kind of this whole virtual component of your life right now?
Yeah, like you said, it was definitely a shift in the beginning, and it was also kind of scary. It was a scary shift because, you know, as I explain it to a lot of people that I've been talking to, a lot of what we do as coaches and as trainers and as people in this sport, it's those personal connections, it's those physical connections, being able to be out on the field and doing something as simple as moving a bunch of cones around for a drill so the girls understand what's going on. So in the beginning, it was a learning curve, and it still is, you know, to be able to, like you mentioned, have your laptop out in your backyard. Like, it might be raining, you got to put an umbrella up over your laptop. Like, you don't want to do things like that, but you know, just trying to make anything work so that you can ultimately still be able to make those connections and still be able to, I think the biggest thing is that everybody's missing lacrosse right now.
Yep.
It's, you know, like, this is the time of the year that we look so much forward to. We really do. And it's a big hole in our hearts right now. You know, people don't know what to do. People don't know how to kind of prepare for the summer, because we don't know what the summer is going to look like. We don't know when the next time we'll be playing is. We don't know how hard we should be training. And I think the biggest thing for me is that I'm just trying to put as much out there so that we can all be doing this together, right? We can all still be chasing our goals together, whether we know when we're going to play lacrosse the next time or not. I think that we should still be kind of attacking our goals and attacking things that we might not be that great at. And if we have to do that from our separate backyards and through the connections that we have, you know, virtually, then so be it. But I think it's such a special thing that we have this technology. You know, if we didn't, we wouldn't be surviving right now, I don't think, because I think as human beings, we thrive off of this human connection. And the only way we can do it right now is through technology. So, you know, just trying to bring that into the lacrosse world as much as I can right now.
It's so cool for, I think, I was going to say, the high school kids and middle school kids who are not able to play right now and are doing Zoom meetings with their coaches, to see that USA level, WPLL level players are doing the exact same thing that they're doing. You know, they're not having access to some special, you know, whatever that nobody else has access to. They're doing the same thing you are, guys. They're in their backyard. Okay, they are out there with rebounders. They're out there training.
I don't even live here anymore. I'm in my childhood home. I moved out, but I'm at my childhood home. I'm in my backyard.
See, everybody's going back to, you know what, it all goes back to where we started anyway. Find that love of the game, right?
Exactly.
Well, I think that's really awesome, Kylie. And I think that's something that Coach Dar brought up, and I know Kate and I had touched on before. When you're not feeling so great, being able to get up and go do something active, accomplishing something during the day. And, you know, you just said, wow, even if it's raining, I'm going to figure out how to put an umbrella up so I can still get out there. And I think, you know, what I kind of want to get, and maybe we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I want to talk to you about the difference, or what you think separates good players from great players. Because here we have this moment in time, and I do think Coach Dar is correct, and I feel strongly about this. We're going to get on the other side of this. Not sure when, but we will come out on the other side of this. And I think that we've all kind of seen this virus, this pandemic situation, almost level the playing field. And now it's really up to each of us, and it's up to each one of these youth, middle, high schoolers. What are you going to do with this time that you have? And, you know, if it's raining, are you going to be like, ah, it's really bad weather. I'm just going to blow off working on my game or getting outside or being active or, you know, enjoying my teammate from 7 feet away, right? Like if you live in a neighborhood and you've got a buddy you can play catch with. But can you talk a little bit about what you think separates good players and great players?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a lot of those little things, right? I think a lot of players in general, no matter what sport you play, everyone's going to be doing the same thing. Like I know Joe Spallina at Stony Brook used to say the same thing to us. Like everybody gets the same amount better at practice every day because we're all doing the same thing. But it's what you do when practice is over, from the time practice is over until the next day, the next practice. Like it's what you do in that time slot that's going to ultimately take you from here to here while everyone else is still staying here. So I think just to relate that to what we're doing right now, we have so much of that time in between practice to practice to be able to say, like, take a look inward and say, okay, what was I not so great at the last time I played lacrosse? What was really uncomfortable for me? What have I been struggling with up until this point? Awesome. I have this awesome new opportunity with a ton of time and nothing else really to focus on other than like those weaknesses that I can try to master, so that, you know, we can ultimately, like you said, there's going to be an end to this. We're going to come out on the other side of this. First of all, believing that is the first thing. And then the second thing is, you know, believing that you can come out on the other side of this better than you went into it, right? Rather than just kind of saying, all right, well, when it's over, and like just back to life. You know, you could most definitely take advantage of becoming a better overall player, human, teammate, leader, everything, just by, you know, taking this time and making sure that you're making the most of each and every day. And I think the best thing that you can do is try to focus on those weaknesses and turn them into strengths, because a lot of times we overlook our weaknesses because we don't have the time to sit there and, you know, kind of pay attention to them as much as things that come natural and things that come comfortable. So to relate it to a lacrosse sense, right? If your weekend feels really, really uncomfortable, only do weekended stuff for the next 3 weeks. You don't have a deadline. You know, you don't have a practice to go to tomorrow that you're only going to use your strong hand in. You know, it's just only going to make you better and only going to make you come out on the other side of this stronger.
Hey, Kylie, how did you, you've literally competed at the highest levels, right? I mean, you've literally gone to the top and all of the things that many of these girls are dreaming of doing and really want to do. So from your perspective, kind of first part is, how do you deal with, you know, did you ever have to deal with any kind of burnout, you know, in the sport? And I know growing up I grew up in Severna Park, we had a lot of kids getting burned out by the time even just getting through high school. So with the levels that you've been to, and then on the other side, how did you find balance with your training to be able to train to be an elite player, but at the same time, still have other things in your life that were important that you could invest into?
Yeah, I think just like you mentioned, both coming from hotbeds of lacrosse, like it was the same thing here on Long Island. You see so much burnout, and unfortunately, you see it earlier and earlier each year. But I think what has kept me from finding those burnout spots is, you know, just my love for the game and my ability to, when it starts to become a hassle or when it starts to become something that, you know, I'm upset to go to practice, or, you know, it just doesn't feel right. I try to take a step back, right? Like if I am able to, I try to, you know, not go get the extra work, put my stick down, invest myself in a good book, invest myself in, you know, a quality family game night, other things that I know that make me just as happy as lacrosse does. If lacrosse isn't making me happy at that moment in time, I'm trying to put myself and my effort and my energy into something else so that I can regain myself and then put myself back on the lacrosse field and ultimately find that happiness again. Because I think that's the biggest thing. Like, we all play it because we love it. You know, we all play and we want to be at the highest level, and we train as much as we do because, you know, we have our goals for ourselves, to be the best version of ourselves on the lacrosse field. And there are going to be those days. I'm not going to sit here and say that every single day is perfect. It's not true, you know? And like you mentioned, at every single level, there are going to be bad days. There are going to be days where you just don't want to be there. You just want to quit. Like, that's okay. Accept that. Take a step back, find something else that, you know, makes you happy. So for me, it's, you know, going to see a good sunset, or finding a good book, or writing in a journal before I go to sleep, or, you know, spending time with my dog. Just random little things that I know ultimately make me happy. Take a step away from the things that are stressing me out. And if that's lacrosse, that's okay. I can, like Coach Dar said, just take 24 hours, be in those feelings, and then the next day you can kind of show up and reattack.
I see a lot of kids that get really hung up on getting recruited, getting to the next level, and so the focus almost becomes a desperation to get to that part, that they lose kind of that joy in the game. And ultimately, and I'm sure Coach Tucker has seen this, that you see their performance go down because their focus is kind of shifted. Did you ever have any issues with that, where you had to kind of step back and remind yourself that you were playing because this was fun, and not get too focused on that outcome?
Yeah, and more often than you'd think, and in games and situations, even now, even at the highest stages, even, in college, when an outsider who was, maybe another coach or someone in the stands was looking and saying, wow, Kylie's having a great game, I was in my brain saying, oh my goodness, this is like exhausting, like there's so much pressure, all these things that are making it not so fun. So it's only something that you're going to know is happening inside your own brain. But I just definitely want to reiterate that it happens to everybody, no matter the level. And I think the best thing that you can do is try to take the biggest step back that you can mentally, right? And just kind of say, like, look at it from the bigger picture. My best thing that has always helped me is try to put myself in my 12-year-old self's shoes, right? And just kind of look and say, like, all right, if it is that situation of I'm having a really pressure-filled game and nothing seems fun out on the field, and I'm trying to make plays happen and everything feels really, really tense and not so fun, I try to step back and say, like, imagine my 12-year-old self was in those stands right now looking at me, play for what she would want to see, right? And play the way that she would want you to play in this moment, because ultimately all your dreams are coming true. So ultimately it's really just taking that big step back and seeing it from a bird's eye view. And that's what's helped me to kind of avoid those burnout thoughts, and the thoughts that do pop into your head every once in a while. Is just taking the bird's eye view.
And you, Coach Tucker, do you ever, as a coach on the sideline, can you read that in a player when you can? Because I've seen kids come off the field crying at tournaments, some of those really big, heavy tournaments where they're not having fun at all. They're so stressed about dropping the ball. Can you see that on the sideline, and what kind of things do you look for in that recovery?
Yes. Well, I'm a big body language person, and I think that that's something that we want to start talking to players about at a very early age, because we all make mistakes, things go wrong, another team just might make a better play in that moment, and your body language speaks volumes. And like Kylie said, you can have that moment where maybe your head drops, your shoulders drop, your stick drops a little bit, but you quickly have to learn how to rebound. And that's what we're talking about in managing this crisis. Is we're going to have those moments where we're really down for a particular moment of time, but we have to make a choice to rebound. And I love Kylie's, analogy of that bird's eye view and playing for that little 12-year-old girl, and refinding your joy, because it's not easy. I will tell you, it's not easy to play at the highest levels, like the collegiate level that Kylie played at, or certainly at the national level and the professional level. But it's the best hard work you're ever going to do when you're playing the sport that you love. So I can 100% see it. And I think that if you have a little technique that you can use, maybe it's you brush off your shorts, or, you do something with your stick to kind of jog you back into, I got a game to play. I've got teammates that are counting on me. That would be the only other thing I would share, is that we talk to our girls a lot about, if you're having a moment, if you're having a bad day, take the onus off of you. Try not to think about yourself in that moment. What can you do to make your teammate look good? How can you go help your teammate in that game, whether it's getting a ground ball, where it's moving the ball quickly to them, whether it's going up to them and giving them a pat on the back? That stuff automatically comes back to you tenfold and will help you kind of get out of your own head. And we're going to talk about what it means to be a good teammate in a hot second. We're excited to hear what Kylie has to say about that too. But Kylie, I want to put you on the spot for a little bit. Pretend for this moment, because there's so many girls watching this that are just really wondering how to make themselves better, and the recruiting process, and what is that going to look like for them. Put yourself back in the day where you're now in this situation where you're at home, you can't get to a field. what would you be doing to prepare yourself or to help yourself get recruited right now? Right. So think that maybe you're trying out for the WPLL team and it's this moment in time right now, and you've got all these weeks at home. What can you advise our people listening, club coaches, high school coaches, players? What would you do now to help yourself get recruited, given the parameters that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's tough. It's definitely tough because it's something we've never dealt with before. But I think it's forcing right now, it's forcing me out of my comfort zone to try new things. Like I know that my biggest weakness is that I'm terrible at distance running. But guess what? That's one of the one things I can do right now to train. So it's forcing me again to like go outside my comfort zone and train in a different way. So I think it's some of those things. If you have access to, you know, a rebounder, if you have access to a cage, if you have access to even one lacrosse ball and just your living room, cradle it around, toss it up and down, you know, as much as you possibly can. Lacrosse is a sport where the more you have your stick in your hands, the better you're going to be, the more confident, comfortable you're going to be out on the field. No matter when the last time you played in an actual game or practice was, the more you've had your stick in your hands on a daily basis, whether it's stick tricks or even just cradling around the house, it's just going to feel that much more comfortable and it's going to come back naturally. I think when you're talking about, you know, the recruiting process and things like that, everyone's going to be at different stages right now. If you're just getting into it and you're kind of nervous that you're going to lose this summer of playing in front of coaches, do your research. You know, you have tons of time to be able to sit here and make lists, right? Make lists of places that are your dream schools, research places that might have academic programs that you're interested in, or you don't even know what your academic interests might be right now. Look that up as well. You have plenty of time, right? And start to jot some ideas down, start to look through some, you know, a lot of programs, a lot of college programs have YouTube channels or Instagrams or things that you can go to check out what their team culture is like and see if that attracts you, right? See if that's something that you want to be a part of, and, you know, start to jot those things down, make those lists. And I think the best thing that you can do right now, if you can't physically get out there and do anything, watch it, right? Like you have all these kind of tools to be able to watch all these collegiate, professional, all these games on YouTube and all over the internet that you can just immerse your brain in. I'm a big visual learner type of person, and just visualization and perception is reality. So like I know for myself, when I was younger and even up until this day, if I'm ever having like a really tough workout or I'm having a really tough time getting through like a run or something, visualization helps me. So I'll visualize some sort of play where I'm out on the field and, you know, the clock is ticking down and like I need to push myself through, and that's what gets me through the rest of the workout, rather than like a pump up song or something like that. So I'm a big on, you know, being able to see those things happening and kind of replaying them in your brain so that when you do get back on the field, it's muscle memory when you come to that visualization.
That, I think that's such a huge point. Now you're getting pretty good at video these days though. So what would you, cause we're trying to encourage our players out there. Yes. Video yourself in your backyard, split dodging a tree trunk for Lord's sake, you know, and go ahead and whip a little, you know, fake high, shoot low, or a little low to high, or a little rocker step. Tell me a little more about what you would do with your phone or your computer and your backyard and that one ball that you have. Like, kind of go a little crazy on how girls can send videos to college coaches and yeah, help themselves look good.
Yeah, you guys have the best tool in your hands in that phone, right? Like you guys, I know a lot of you watching right now have TikTok, and you spend a lot of time making videos for that. Spend some time with that ball, with that stick, with your cage, with that tree trunk, whatever you might be doing, showing off your best moves, and send them to college coaches. College coaches are sitting around right now just as much as you are, and they're not able to get to high school games because high school games aren't happening. And they're also worried just as much that the summer season isn't going to go on. So the best thing that you can do is use that technology that you have and use those phones rather than for TikTok, which you could put the highlights of you dodging the tree trunk on TikTok afterwards to a cool song, but send them to college coaches so that they can see what you're doing to ultimately, you know, up your game, because they are sitting around just like you are right now looking for some things to recruit.
My son was out in the backyard once, and I was trying to figure out what he was doing, and he was dodging the patio chairs. So he had set up like the gauntlet. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. You know, he's doing that. And then I walk away and I heard this loud crack, and then it got really quiet. And I went out there and he hit his stick on the chair, and his head like cracked completely in half. I was like,
oh man.
So when you're dodging chairs,
Yes.
watch out for the head of your stick. Make sure you clear that head around, pull it in tight, right?
It's still something that I do all the time if I'm walking down the street and there's like a fire hydrant or telephone poles. Like I still do like a little roll dodge.
Such a lacrosse move, isn't it?
My friends, you're wearing.
We have like limited time, so this is what I kind of want to do, and I know we can really dig into being a great teammate probably in the future. I do want to ask Kylie kind of a shortened version of, you can just kind of describe what you would consider are the best traits of a great teammate. And then I really want to hear about these journals. So I want to make sure we get into that personal growth while we still have a little bit of time. So yeah, touch on just what are some of the traits of a great teammate?
I think, great teammates ultimately recognize that everybody is a different person, right? And the team goals might be the same in general for the team, but everybody has different personal goals, and everybody has different ways of being motivated or wanting to achieve them or things like that. And everybody has different things that make them go, different things that make them tick. And a great teammate understands that and puts the energy and the effort towards getting to know that person so that they can ultimately bring that out when they're at their lowest low or at their highest high. And I think that's, what I've been so grateful to realize, in some of my relationships at Stony Brook, we became friends off the field first, so that on the field we understood, like, okay, this is what makes her motivated. This is what, really pisses her off. So I'm going to use that to make her motivated, but this girl like really, really likes to, be complimented. So I'm going to make sure that I'm lifting her spirits up. Just kind of ultimately a great teammate understands who their friends are, who their teammates are, so that they can ultimately become family, so you guys can push towards those team goals together by pushing each other's personal goals up. I think that's one of the best things that you can do. And other than that, it's really just someone who's going to be there for you again at your lowest low and at your highest high and everywhere in between. And that's on and off the lacrosse field, and that goes to show in so many different things, when someone's struggling with family, or when someone's struggling with schoolwork, or, when someone has a really, really awesome thing that happens in their life, it's the first person that texts you to celebrate, is a lot of my teammates still to this day. So that's just ultimately traits that I look for in not only teammates, but friends, family. And those kind of three words have a lot of the same meaning to me.
No
I
doubt.
love that. I think a lot of times teams try to focus on, it's almost that soldier mentality of making everybody the same. And those teams ultimately fail because they don't appreciate and use the strengths they have. And the strengths are usually their uniqueness and how each person's unique personality and skills fill in all the holes. So you have this really well-rounded team. And so when you embrace that, you get to use it instead of trying to like crush all the things that would make you special. I think that's so important. I'm going to put, you can, Coach Tucker, I'm going to let you add in yours while I'm sharing screen down here.
Yeah, if you could put that being a great teammate slide up, because I do think people could pull some good info from that we had worked on. And, I appreciate, Kylie, what you're talking about, because again, it's more about service. How can I make my teammate look good? In order to be a great teammate, I have to care about the girl standing next to me and what I can do to make her look good. So that's really important. Communication is such a big deal. And I think that's also like what you alluded to, is when you really know somebody, you're going to know how to best communicate with them. And I think that one thing that's really important to encourage everybody listening is, I don't care where you fall in the hierarchy of your team, whether you're a younger player, whether it's, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, at the collegiate, high school level, wherever it is, anybody can be a leader. It doesn't just have to be the seniors. And I think for you, watching you play for 4 years, I think you were a leader the moment you stepped onto the field, just by your work ethic and your play. And I think that's important for our girls to hear, is that you don't have to be a named captain to be a leader, to be a great teammate. And so that's something that we wanted to make sure we did have people hear us say, is that right now, by serving others, by checking on your teammates, by putting up a workout that you just did, by encouraging your teammates to get a little bit better, you're not only being a great teammate, but you're also really learning how to lead. And I think that's going to be important for their future.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's something that I'm recognizing right now, you know, personally, after college, there's no more ranks anymore. Everybody's at the same level playing field. You know, so it doesn't matter what age you're at, how long you've been in the pros, how long you've been playing lacrosse anymore. Everybody's at equal playing field. And it's, you know, what's really cool about it is that everybody's a leader and we're all learning so much from each other, and just being ultimately great teammates by, you know, kind of the coolest part about being part of the Team USA training team right now is that we have like a Google Doc where we're all sharing our workouts. Everyone gets to kind of see like what everybody's doing, but it also pushes us to be like, oh no, like Taylor Cummings is doing that, I got to go do that tomorrow, you know?
I was
Like,
gonna say, are you competing with it? Because that's what I would be doing. I wouldn't be like, oh, that's cool. I'd be like, oh yeah.
That's so great. What a great, Kylie, I love that, because if you're looking at that Google Doc and all your buddies are putting up the things they're doing and you're like, oh God, I've been on the couch for 2 days, that's going to motivate you too, you know?
Holding each other accountable. And I think that's another great thing about being a great teammate too, is like, you know, you should expect the best out of the person to the right and to the left of you, because, you know, they're expecting the best out of you. So absolutely.
I love it. All right, Kate, shall we move on to our last slide? I know we always go over time because we just have way too much fun.
I know. Well, we just can't help ourselves. You know? Let's move in, because I'm telling you guys, I've got to first let's admire this another picture I stole from the internet, so nobody sue me. But look how nice it's cut out.
I want to kind of point this out really quick, Kate, because you know, for me, I think the great players that separate themselves, they have a really incredible internal drive, right? Their individual drive and their ability to kind of like know who they are and really believe in themselves, that's a big deal. And what's cool about this picture of Kylie is her signature eye black that she would wear, because she's like cute as a button, and then she puts the eye black on and goes into like straight badass, right? So what's cool about that, and I want to share with Kylie, is like you created your own kind of energy and persona on the field, and you owned that. And that's something that I want all of our girls, our players, our athletes to hear, is that you want to own who you are, your style, your ability. You've got to work, right? Sitting on the couch never got anyone anywhere. So you have to put that work in. That personal drive is what's going to separate you. So that's just something that I wanted to point out. That eye black always was just terrific. And now Kylie's kind of built that into this KO 17, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. That's really cool.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a funny story, because it was something that, again, like I was just trying to express myself out on the lacrosse field, and in high school was just trying to, you know, have fun with it, and just ultimately put something on my face that made me a little bit different than other people out on the field, made me a little bit more intimidating. And again, it just kind of was like, all right, if this is on, this means it's game time type of thing. Yep. Just made it my own.
So sad when they took that away from the high school kids with the rule, because they were so creative with it. Now, it's not even smeared in this picture. Were you even playing? What's happening?
I might have just came off the bench.
Okay.
I love it. Well, I just think it's cool.
By the end, it's all over all my teammates' shoulders.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's usually, I would always forget, and I would like, go like that, and then be like, oh no.
I'm the biggest celebration hugger, and it's always like right here on my teammates' shoulders on their jerseys, and they're like, Kylie.
Yeah.
Well, I want to hear about, because you know, talking about personal growth, and just want to hit on this because this is so awesome. So Kylie did mention she's a little bit of a journaler.
We're gonna have evidence.
I want to see this pile. And if you are familiar with Coach Tucker, she has a journal that is amazing. It's been out for even a couple of years. I'm going to hold up because we have one over here. This is, guys, this is where Lax Life came from, okay? This is the Lax Life journal. And these are also, they can still get these, right, from your website?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
These are incredible. I don't know if I can put some more, I'll put the link to the article I wrote about this journal on that Lax Life registration webpage also, so people can find it, and you can also see a link to where you can order it. And then, Coach, I'll let you talk about that too. But Kylie, please tell us about this journal obsession.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have again, 6 of them.
Wow, you weren't
He
kidding.
really does have 6.
I do. I actually do write in them every single day. I like to write in some of them in the morning, and I like to write in some of them at night. And it's just, obviously as life gets busier, it's harder to keep up with it, but I do like to do some sort of writing in the morning and at night every single day. For me, it just kind of keeps my goals in line. And I know that from a lot of practice, and like Coach Dara was mentioning before, mental training is just as every single day as daily as physical conditioning is, and I've learned that over my experiences, and writing them down has been kind of the way that I keep on top of it. So whether it's when I wake up in the morning, I write out my list of goals for the day, and it might be something as simple as go for a run today. It might be something as simple as make sure you drink 3 water bottles today. Just something simple where it's it puts it down on paper, so that by the end of the day, if I can look back at that and look at it and be like, oh, you didn't do that today, dang, I didn't do what I was meant to do today. But at the same time, if I write it down, it's a goal that's out on paper, it's out in the universe, and it's something that I'm going to work hard to be able to check off at the end of the day.
You realize if you talk to anyone who's really successful, you're going to see that they are very intentional with their day. They wake up in the morning and the first thing they fill their head with is not the phone. I think a lot of people, one of the biggest mistakes we make today is that we wake up and the first thing we look at is we scroll through the phone, and that is what we fill our head with, and then we're distracted. We might pick up some emotion from what we read. If there's an upsetting email in there, that's going to be the first thing we start our day with. And you're going to find a lot of successful people are writing down their intentions for the day. And so do you write something different? Is there a different notebook for each one, or do you just you're just 6?
What are the different journals for?
Yeah, so some of them, I mean, there are a couple that have prompts in them that I just have absolutely loved. And again, I don't use all 6 of these when I'm doing a normal day-to-day basis, when life is normal, but right now I have all the time in the world to write. So I'm catching up on a lot of them. It's been a habit of mine, or a hobby of mine, I should say, just to creatively write for a long time. But this one I actually highly suggest. It's the Becoming Journal by Michelle Obama. So each page has a different prompt to it.
Oh, cool.
That kind of helps you put your story out into words. And it's kind of a cool one, but yeah, at the end of the night, I just have an empty one, and that's just an empty page where I like to get all my thoughts out on the page, whether they were negative, positive, whatever it is that I'm thinking. My brain just goes on the page, and then I can go to sleep and just be free for the next day type of thing.
That is absolutely awesome. With our whole journal for our team, our team one is a little different than the one that Kate showed everybody. And the reason that we even got to this a couple years ago is because I tell my girls all the time, when you put something down on paper, it becomes more real. And you almost hold yourself accountable to it, because there it is. You took the time to put it on paper. And what we found, Kylie, is that this was my 27th year of coaching at Hopkins. And every year there was just similar things about our team culture that we would be talking about and that were important. And whether it was being a good teammate, or having a strong mental mindset, or bouncing back from mistakes, or, how are we going to learn and grow? Sorry about that. That was my phone that just buzzed in there. So that's how it all started for us. I thought, well, geez, Janine, why don't you just start writing some of this stuff down and give it to your team? Because these are topics we revisit all of the time, right? What is it? Your body language, your self-confidence. So that's how our team journal started. We shared it at the US Lacrosse Convention, and then everyone was like, wait, can we have that for our team? And that's how Kate ended up getting the one for her team. And I just think, Kylie, if we can get more young girls to think about, if I put something down on paper, it's going to become more real for me. And then being able to get, like you said, those emotions that you just went through all day, you put it all on that one piece of paper, and then boy, you go right to bed and you can probably sleep so much more soundly. And it also, I think, helps me when I look back, when I'm writing my thoughts, my, triumphs, my, tragedies, my tough things. It allows you to reflect. right? And I think that's how we kind of learn and grow, is when we can look back on something and say, wow, that was a really tough thing, and now look at me. Or wow, I was awesome in this moment, you know, I'm going to keep this going. So I do think that opportunity for us to take a minute to ourselves and be able to reflect on the things that we put down, whether it's little pieces of paper or a beautiful journal like you just recommended, I think it's pretty healthy for us.
Absolutely. And I think one of the best things that I can share with you all watching this right now, the best thing that you can do, even if you don't want to, you know, write in 6 journals like me, or even try it, just try to write down one sentence, one positive thing that happened to you each day, or one thing that you did really, really well each day. I found, like, this was an exercise that I actually did with my trainer about a year ago, because it was something where we talked about how women and girls oftentimes just kind of reflect on the things that we do negatively a lot, like that we're poor at, or that, you know, we kind of sucked at that day, whatever it was. We're always talking about this, that, and the other thing that was negative. And he was like, you know, can you look me in the eyes and tell me something that you're really good at? And I was like, no, that's really uncomfortable. I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, even that was negative. So he made me write down something positive that I was really, really good at that day, every single time. And you're going to find that it's really uncomfortable. But again, if you're ever having a bad day, you look back at the last 2 weeks, you wrote down something positive that you crushed, you can be like, wow, you know what, I am awesome. And then you can kind of keep building off of that.
And I recommend that for players of any age and coaches. So, you know, before I go to practice, every single practice, I take 5 minutes and I write down either on the back of my practice plan, or I have a notebook in my car, and I will write down, here's what I want to make sure I accomplish today. I want to make sure that I am encouraging, especially this person that I know was struggling, and I want to make sure that I'm focused on the skills at hand. And then I write down my purpose. I always put that on the top of the page. You know, why am I here? Why does this matter? And it just kind of keeps me focused, and it also takes me out of whatever was going on the rest of the day. And I encourage all athletes, if you can show up 5 minutes before you need to be there and pull out that notebook and say, here's what I'd like to focus on today. Because if you focus on that one thing, you can really get better at it. And then here are the 2 people I would like to encourage and lift up today. That kind of gives you another focus that takes you out of your own head. Maybe it's something you learned the day before. Well, today I want to make sure I focus on what I was taught yesterday and was struggling with, so I can continue to grow. That intentionality is so huge for everybody. And I'm a huge fan of journaling. So as soon as you said you had 6 journals, I was like, we're best friends now.
I promise I don't do that all the time. I just have a lot of time these days. So
I think I bet you're one of those people that if you go into a store and you see just a really cool, you know, pretty little shiny new journal, you're just gonna buy it. You're just going to buy it, right?
No, yeah, I do. I have so many
for the
things I haven't even written in. I just, I can't help it.
That's okay. That's cool. They're there. Well, Kate, I know we have to watch our time, and we did want to talk about just some tangible things that we could maybe share with the group watching. And Kylie, do you have like an awesome book that you read or 2 that you just thought was so great and that you would recommend people read, whether it was during your Stony Brook days or now while you're out and about?
Yeah, my favorite book that I read during my Stony Brook days, it was a game changer for me, was Legacy by James Kerr. All-time favorite on leadership and just being a great teammate.
Awesome.
And I would also suggest Wolfpack by Abby Wambach. That's a great one as well. And she is, and it's an easy read too. I finished it in a day.
It's really small. When I saw the bookstore, I was like, wait, that's it? It's little.
Yeah, but a lot of really good little nuggets in there, and just from an all-time great. So, and female athlete too.
That's Kate. Do you have that's awesome, Kylie. Do you have a book or 2 you would recommend?
Yeah, well, you know, I work with a lot of John Gordon, since that's what I do for a living. So I am a huge fan of, my teams all read The Energy Bus. That was my first John Gordon book. When I met him, that was what he sent me. And it was like, oh my gosh, I was completely wrong about what positivity is. This is amazing. And it's a fable. So if you don't like reading how-to books, it's a great read, and it's very easy to get through. So that's one of my favorites. And then The Power of Positive Teams is awesome. And that is not a fable. It's just a whole bunch of different stories about teams and how they made an impact and what they did positively. And if you look at, I was joking with my son, we were at the airport, and I was like, oh, look, there's the Power Positive Teams. It's for sale at the bookstore. I said, I'm on page 57. And he looks at me and goes, oh, you couldn't finish it? And I was like, no, I mean, my story's on page 57.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's incredible.
I've read both of those books and I absolutely love them. And I have two that are my favorite that I would share. One is called Presence by Amy Cuddy, and it's a really good read, but she talks about the science behind body language and power posing and getting yourself self-confidence by how you carry yourself. And I love that book. And I've had my team read it. And then another one is called You Are a Badass.
That's so good. I've read that one too.
So good. And I had to share that with everybody because it also gives you like quick hits of like things you can do right now to channel your inner badass. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on, this is our webinar. I can say that, right? Exactly.
I bought my daughter the button. Have you seen the button? There is a You Are a Badass button, and when you hit it, it like gives you different quotes out of it, and it's on her desk. And I was like, you hit that when you need
awesome.
it.
That's
really cool.
awesome. I love that. Well, that was something else we wanted to share. You know, Kylie, just before I let you go, quick hit. What is your favorite dodge? What is your go-to dodge to use?
Roll dodge.
Okay, love a roll dodge. What's your favorite shot?
Behind the back.
Oh. I'm
trying to go in.
Yeah, right. That's right. I'm trying to give some of our listeners things to work on, right, Father? Tell me what your go-to move is if you're trying to come up with a ground ball.
I like to tap it between my legs and turn around and go the other way.
Ooh.
Yeah, sure, we can all do that. No problem. Yeah, that's totally fine. Totally fine. Love it. Do you have any phenomenal kind of moment that you could share with everybody that you know is just imprinted into your soul and that you'll never forget?
Yes, it was in the 2017 game versus Maryland in the semifinals. We had never been there before as a program, so it was just all around awesome. We actually had a 4-goal lead on them at the time too, so energy was high. But I threw pretty much a no-look Hail Mary pass all across the crease to my sister, who was barely open, and she caught it and dunked it right on the doorstep, and I just ran to her, and she's bigger than me, so she picked me up. I jumped into her arms, she picked me up. We were just like celebrating, and there's a bunch of pictures of it. It's just a moment in time I'll never forget, because you know that's my little sister, and I knew Mom was crying up in the stands.
Oh yeah, and what a cool moment for you and your sister on the biggest stage, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And honestly, everybody that's watching this and listening, that's what they're shooting for, is a moment like that, you know, on the biggest stage. And I will tell everyone listening, if you think you get there by just sitting around, that is not true. So definitely follow Kylie. Taylor Cummings is great. Alex Alls, that whole group of US players are phenomenal. There's some college players who are really active on Instagram. So do your research, get online, use your phone to help you grow and not stress you out, you know, have some fun with it. It's been so great having you here, Kylie. I really appreciate you spending some time with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me and for all the book recommendations. I'm definitely going to go order some.
I know, right? I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah, and I will try to remember to put those book recommendations on the website too. I should be making myself a list. I'll get to rewatch this so I remember what I promised. But I'll try to, so just keep an eye on that website page. It won't be tonight, but sometime before Monday, I'll try to update it with all that. And then keep watching, because we are going to be continuing this on. We have some awesome other people that are going to be joining in. So just watch social media to see how and when we're going to put it out, whether it's live or not live, I don't know, but we'll get it all out for you guys soon.
Kate, one thing I wanted to ask Kylie, because I would love for her to come back on, and I know since you're my like technology goddess, Kate, I'm not the technology goddess. Kylie,
the fact that you're calling me technology is hilarious,
yeah,
but
right?
I'll take it.
Kylie, would you consider, because what I could visualize us doing next, because I like to see things and, you know, kind of tangible things, would you maybe be so kind to make us a little video of some of your training techniques? I know that people can go to your site, but if we could bring you back and you could literally just whip out that roll dodge or that behind the back shot, and we could show the video and maybe put it a little bit on a loop so some of the girls can really see what your training looks like. You are playing at the highest level, yet you're still out there every day working on the tiny nuances of the footwork that you need to get that dodge off or to get that shot off. So would you maybe consider doing something like that if I put you on the spot a little bit?
She has to say yes because she's on camera. Good job, Coach
Good peer
Tucker.
pressure. Good peer pressure.
I would love to. I will do roll dodges and behind the backs all day long.
Yes,
So
I love it. I love it. Trust me. They worked against us often, so we'll try to take some of those techniques. But I just think that the people would love to see some video of you that we could just splice together and put it on one of these little webinars in the future. That would be awesome.
absolutely.
Well, and maybe we'll have her bring a friend.
Yeah, we can definitely do that as well.
Friend, right? That's
If you're a guest, you have to bring a friend now.
I like it. That's awesome.
Second time guest brings.
Yes, that's right. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Kylie, thank you again. I'm super excited for the future of where we're going to take this. And for all the people that hung in here, because we just keep talking, is amazing. And keep an eye out on social media is all I can say, because exciting things are coming in the future.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right. Have a good night.
So good. Good job, girl. See you guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.